Hello YouTube, welcome back to this little adventure on controlling my new CNC machine. As I spoke about in the earlier video, I'd like to control it wirelessly with an ESP 8266 chip, which I have here. One variant of it, this is called the ESP -01, I believe. This is the simplest version. It only has 8 pins broken out. As we see here on the back. If struggling a bit for focus here, but there we go. This is the simplest version. We also have other variants. In this package, you can see we have two chips, which I cannot get focus on. There, it has a lot more pins broken out. It's got, I think 16 pins, including ground and power, each of these. So to make this happen, we need a few things. Of course, the board here, just put that to the side. We need the ESP chip. We need a way to program the ESP chip. This is it's basically just a USB to serial device that happens to supply 3.3 volts power that this chip needs. If I'm correct, I'll check that before I plug it in, if that's the right variant I found. So we'll need that. Then, because the Arduino chip or Atmega chip we're going to hook it up to is a 5 volt chip, we'll also need a voltage regulator to bring that down to 3.3 volts. So here we have, I doubt I can get focus on that chip, but I believe it is in AMS 1117 variant, on a nice little convenient board because it's a surface mount component. So a nice little board we can plug into a breadboard, which is the next part we'll need, most definitely need. Got a large one here, but I think we can actually get away with using this smaller one. We don't need a whole lot going on. So just unpackage this. Then obviously we'll need an assortment of cables for plugging in or connecting everything. We've got these, which has, come on camera. It's got those in both ends. That's not so useful because, well, this has the pins. Come on, it's really struggling. And it can't plug into a breadboard, because if you plug it in like this, then we're shorting some pins. You can get some adapter boards for that, but what I have instead are these cables, which are supplied this. So if we can see if we can get, it's got a plug on one end, a second on the other, so we can plug this into here, and then connect it, each pin individually, to our breadboard. Like so. That's the basics we need. In theory, we shouldn't need anything else, but we may have to. First of all, I don't know how clean of a voltage supply this little board is. It has a few small surface mount caps on the back there, but we might need to add some extra caps to reduce ripple. So if the ESP chip here starts rebooting a whole lot, then it's probably because it's not getting a clean power supply. If that happens, we might hook up the scope to it and see if what's going on, and then add some capacitors Also, we might need a few other things. If we wanted to do more than just create a serial connection, which is the goal here, we might want one of these boards with more pins. If we like, say, we wanted to control a little screen, or if we, let's say, we wanted to add an SD card like the old board had. And I've got a little board here for, that's not micro SD, but standard SD cards. And then I think that's about it. Now the first step would be to go and program this. I won't cover that in this video, I'll just go off and do it. I'll just say there's plenty of decent tutorials on YouTube or in Google on how to do that. So you can go and look that up yourself if you want to play along at home. I might do one in the future, we'll see. But for now, I'm just going to go and do it, and then we'll start hooking everything up. So the flashing is complete. Right now I have it running off a power bank right here. So it's not actually connected to the CNC machine or anything yet. But let's have a look at the software. See if my iPhone wants to function, and can we get some focus? So what I'm running here is a software called ESP Link by G Labs, as you can see. I have it connected to my Wi-Fi right now, so it's joined the network. When you first boot it, it will create its own network where you can get to a configuration page and set it up. Now we just need to hook it up. It's got a ton of configuration options. The one thing we're really interested in is this console, microcontroller console. I'll really, right now it's not hooked up to anything, but I'll basically give us a serial console, so we can send G-code commands and hopefully control the CNC this way. So this is basically a proof of concept. If I didn't mention that before, what we want to do here is not, we don't want to control our CNC by sending individual G-code commands one at a time, typing them in and sending them off, waiting for it to execute, and then so on, doing that manually. We just want to prove that it's possible, and then we can start building some sort of user interface on top of this ESP Link software, and by the end we'll have something usable, hopefully. So what we need to do now is to build the actual circuitry. Well, we need to do a couple of things actually, but we need to get all this stuff hooked up. But before I can really do that, I need to trace out these pins in this connector down here, or we can use some of these pins, but we need to trace out where are our, we need 5 volts, ground, and RX and TX it is for the serial connection to work. So you need to figure out where those pins are. There isn't really anything written on the breadboard regarding, or on the circuit board regarding this connector. We do have some down here, but there's written we have got 5 volts and ground, but not the RX and the DX pins are not marked. But this is an Mega 328P processor microcontroller down here, so we can simply look up the datasheet for that and then trace these pins to where they're connected over here. So I'll go and do that and get a schematic for you. Okay, I have to admit that took me way longer than it should have. I was trying to trace those pins in continuity mode on my multimeter, but it took me way too long to realize there's actually some resistors in series on this board, which of course meant I didn't get the beep. But I finally figured it out. So let's have a look at what I figured out here. So if we just try and adjust the camera and zoom in a bit here. So this is this socket up here, the socket on the board where the control panel connects. There's 8 pins. The first 2 pins, when you have this key on the bottom and you're looking down at the top, and the first 2 pins, most to the left, are both 5-volt rails. Then the next 2 are both ground. Then the top one, the next one, the third one on the top row is TX from the Atmega chip, and the next one is RX. And then there's a reset pin, which, I mean, there's a reset button on that. If that would trigger, if that triggers the reset, if that is the reset connection for the Atmega chip, then they could have implemented a reset functionality on this, so this would reset together with the machine, so then wouldn't have the problem of not being able to exit the menus. But actually, someone did leave a comment and said that if you press this lower button, SMOD, then you long press it, then it will exit, and that is correct, in fact. But I still think it's kind of crap, but at least it's possible. Then, of course, we connect all this up to DSP. Let's have a look at DSP. We have VCC, reset, CHPD. I'm not sure what that stands for, but that needs to be pulled high for it to boot correctly. Then we have TX, RX down in the bottom here. We have 2 I/O pins, and we have ground. So I've hooked it up. So let's have a look at that. And it's actually powered up right now. So I've connected all the pins down here according to that pinout I just described. Have a closer look here, if we can get it to focus. It doesn't really want to do that. There we go. Okay, so over here we just have the RX and TX connections coming in here, and then going down, coming in up here from the CNC board, and down here going to the ESP. And they are switched down here, so you see gray going to white and white going to gray, because you want the RX connection from, so you want the RX connection up here going to the TX down here, and the RX down here going to the TX up there, to get the communication going. And then, again, focus, you fuck. Then we have this wire here, goes to a resistor here. That is that CHPD connection that we're pulling high. I think it's a 120 ohm resistor. I'm not sure what the value should be. I couldn't find any information on that. It just said it's pull high, and most places they say use a pull-up resistor. So I did that. Then we have the little voltage converter board here, down here, the EMS 1117. Ground is just going straight through on the right side. Then in the middle we have the 3.3, which is this wire going down here. And then we have the 5 volts coming in over here on the left side of that board. So now everything's connected up, it's booted up, and I'm actually connected to it right now on my tablet. I'll just adjust the camera here, and then we'll see if we can get it to do something. So here we are on the ESP Link interface at the home page. See, we're connected to my my Wi-Fi, and we'll see there's actually that's just some system information about the chip we're running on. But the first thing you'll want to do is go into the preset and set this to the ESP01 because that's the variant of the chip I'm using. I've already done that, so it shouldn't be necessary now. And then the interesting part comes when we're going down to the UI console here. We have a console. We're going to go down here and enter some commands if we want. Just type whatever. And then we'll see, oh, something responded with an error. What could that be? Let's try typing a G-code command. Just G0. That's a valid G-code command. Okay, okay. So I'm not sure why that's two. I think the OK is, the first OK is I received the command, and the second OK is I executed the command. As far as I can tell, but I'm not entirely sure about that. So here we have it. We're actually controlling this board over Wi-Fi right now. Now the next step is, that'll take a little bit of prep work. I have to move some stuff around on the table here. But of course we want to see it actually moving the steppers and stuff via this console. So let me get everything set up, and we'll get on to the grand finale of this, this video, hopefully. And here we are, all set up. Might even want to move the camera back a bit. So I just had one little thing. When I disconnected the power and reconnected everything, it seemed like the ESP apparently maybe booted quicker than the at Mega or something, and then it didn't establish a connection correctly. I had to reset the controller board before I got a connection. But let's have a look. So if I just go down here, see if we can get everything in shot. I know you can't really see exactly what I'm typing. That doesn't really matter. I'm just punching in some G-code. So we're going G0x20, so that should move. The x-axis 20 millimeters, I think. Oh, that seems to work. Let's try G0y20. Yes, sir. G0 set. Now that's topped out. So does it actually take negative values? It does seem like it does. So let's try that. Now I'm not sure what the command is to turn the spindle on. I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head what the G command is. But as you can see, we've actually successfully connecting and controlling our CNC or Wi-Fi. And it cost us, well, in parts we've got the ESP chip down here. That's $2, maybe $3. Then we've got a voltage converter, that's like $1, maybe $2 in this breadboard form. A resistor and some cables, let's say another $1. So all in all, it cost us some time, yes, but in parts, you can do this for $5 or less. You can make your own upgrade. Now, let's just say there is a few limitations of this. First of all, the ESP chip down here, it only has 1 megabyte of memory. 1 megabyte, that's really not a lot. So if you wanted to print like a G-code file, you couldn't actually just upload it to the memory of the ESP chip. We would have to figure out some way of streaming this onto this interface somehow, line by line or something like that, or maybe 100 lines at a time or whatever we want. But we need to stream it somehow. We can't keep it in the memory of the ESP chip unless we decided to maybe add an SD card reader. But then we would also have to go with one of these chips that has more pins, or maybe even upgrade to the ESP 32 instead. But with more pins, we could maybe also even add a screen and some buttons and stuff if we wanted. So we could maybe even get close to something like this that also had Wi-Fi. And then you could maybe upload the files directly to the SD card on here and so on. There's a lot of possibilities, but and I mean, the hardware side of things and even the basics here with this ESP Link software is pretty much covered. It's really just a matter of somebody sitting down and programming it. And I'm kind of considering doing that. Basically taking this ESP Link or maybe some other, I'm not sure how much memory this uses. I'm not sure how much I would have left for making a brand new interface specifically for CNC work. So maybe I would just take a few parts of this, or maybe build my own serial library or something. But I mean, this definitely proves that it's possible. One thing I haven't quite figured out yet is this might actually be able to use this to stream, because we've got some REST and MQTT support here. Perhaps, I'm not sure exactly what this is meant for. Maybe there's actually some stuff in here that could do some of the stuff that I'm looking for. And you don't really even have to be a great programmer. You can actually add your own extra pages here just by uploading it directly in this interface, and you can upgrade the firmware and stuff. It's actually a really comprehensive piece of work, this, and I really applaud whoever was it, G Labs, for this. It's a pretty impressive product, I have to say, but maybe even a bit over the top for what I want to do with it. I want to specialize it a lot more for CNC work. But the thing is, this trick here of, you know, sending serial commands over Wi-Fi via this chip, you could use that on pretty much anything that has a serial connection. So you could add it to your 3D printers. You could even, you know, remote manage your switch. Well, that's probably a big no-no when it comes to security, but, you know, pretty much anything that has a serial connection, you could do this trick with. Some comments on the actual setup here. Now, some might be cringing that, well, because this is a 5-volt board over here, and this is a 3.3-volt chip, and I'm just connecting the data lines directly. The thing is, some say that the ESP chips are 5-volt tolerant, or at least the old 8266 is 5-volt tolerant. Some say they aren't. As far as I have been able to gather from scouring the internet, but these are not really official sources, but they are. It seems like the original Chinese documentation for the ESP chip said that it was 5-volt tolerant, but when it got translated to English, it wasn't in there anymore. And then a few years later, a comment from the actual CEO or some high up guy at I think it's Expressif, who makes these chips or designed these chips, says it is 5-volt tolerant. But that was just a Facebook comment, so it's a bit, yeah, I don't know. For prototyping, yeah, I don't care if I burn off this chip, but it should be fine because it's probably 5-volt tolerant. But I would say if you're making a commercial product, you probably want to put in a logic converter in here, just to make sure you aren't burning out a lot of chips and end up with a lot of products getting returned to you. But yeah, you know what? I think this was a very successful little experiment. I'm quite happy with the result. Very happy indeed. So I think I'll try to figure out to build some sort of CNC interface on top of either ESP Link or some other library for serial communication with these ESP chips. Let's see. Have you lost connection maybe? Or did I? Oh, I said go instead of G0. No, it's still working just fine. So yeah, that's it for now. If you've got some comments, you know, some ideas on how to proceed from here, that would be cool. Otherwise, I think I'll probably be back with this, but with more like CNC type firmware, other than this direct just console work. So if you want to see that, press that subscribe button, press that like button, so YouTube shows that video to you when we get there. And otherwise, just, you know, take care.